So we'll just get started now, and just bear with me. I'll just let people in as we go along. So let me just, like I said, if everyone can see this, there will be an opportunity for any questions, like Q&A at the end. So anything you want to discuss at the end, just let us know. Just let a few more people in, sorry. There we go. So, oh, some few people. Sorry about this. Okay. So good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar. The session today is on stress awareness in the workplace. April is, you may not know, April is Stress Awareness Month. And this year it's focused on the theme of Be the Change, or hashtag Be the Change. This aims to encourage individuals and workplaces to move from awareness to action. It's about fostering compassion and implementing practical changes to reduce stress. So today's webinar is really about understanding stress at work and what you as employers and employees can do about it. We're going to be looking at what workplace stress actually is and why it matters, how to spot the early signs and common causes, what practical steps as organisations you can take, and the role line managers play in shaping a positive and supportive working environment. The aim of this webinar isn't just about awareness, it's giving you, simple and practical things you can take away and use straight away. When, as organisations, we manage stress well, it benefits everyone, and that's individuals, teams, and the organisation as a whole. The next slide. There, it's a few more people joining us. Thank you. One more and then get started. So, stress awareness in the workplace. Why does this matter? So, stress in the workplace can have a real impact, not just on an individual, but on teams and organisations as a whole. It can affect well-being, performance, particularly attendance, the sickness impacts, and overall morale. That's why it's incredibly important that we understand it properly, and you're able as an organisation to respond early. As employers, you have a legal responsibility to protect the health, safety and well-being of your employees, and that also includes their mental health. This comes under legislation such as the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974 and the Management of Health and Safety at Work Regulations 1999. However, just kind of outside of compliance, it's also about creating a workplace where people feel supportive and they can thrive. So what is workplace stress? So the Health and Safety Executive defines stress as the adverse reaction people have to excessive pressures or other types of demands placed on them. It's important to remember that pressure isn't always negative. A little bit of stress is needed, just for us to get out of bed in the morning. We need something to kind of motivate us. And that pressure can help motivate and it can improve performance. However, it's when the pressure from stress becomes too much for someone to manage effectively, and that's when it becomes an issue. So I would say the key here message is about change. So looking at the early signs of stress in individuals. So stress often shows up in changes from someone's normal behaviour. So that could be anxiety, low mood, irritability, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, not communicating with colleagues, going in on themselves, being difficult to approach. There's changes in memory or focus, like I said, withdrawal, loss of motivation, changes in attendance or performance. These signs don't automatically mean stress. It may not be from work, it could be other factors as well, but they are indicators that someone needs support and they need reaching out and they need help. So signs of stress in a team, because it can impact a team as well, not just individuals on their own, and it can appear at team level. So increased absence or staff turnover, sickness is impacting your team. If there's workplace conflict, like I said, if someone's not very approachable, it can impact the whole team. If they don't want to talk to them, they try and avoid them, and that's not very nice, particularly in an office environment. It can come across as reduced morale or engagement. People just aren't interested, and there can be increased complaints or reduced performance. So it's impacting your business as a whole externally, particularly for your customers. So these can all indicate an underlying pressure within a team or environment. So the common causes of workplace stress, and it's not limited to these, and it can also be a combination of factors. So that's excessive workload or unrealistic deadlines, unclear roles or expectations, if it's not clear to someone what they should and shouldn't be doing, lack of support or communication, either within the team or with their line managers, workplace change or uncertainty, if you're having to go through a redundancy process, people talk within the business, not having a clear view of what's happening within the business and their role and not going to know what's happening, and poor working relationships. Not everyone gets on with everyone else, but it's where it can start impacting on someone's daily life. Now, it can be one of these or a combination of factors rather than a single issue that's causing stress in the workplace. So the role of managers. So managers, as a manager, if you line manage and manage your teams, you can play a key role in reducing and managing workplace stress. It's not about solving everything. It's not a magic wand. You're not necessarily expected to be experts, but it's about noticing, listening and responding early. Managers, you should encourage open and regular communication. Employees and staff should be able to come to you to talk. If not you, they should have someone else. Identify issues early and have supportive conversations. You may find somebody isn't performing well, and when you actually start talking to them, it's because they're under stress or things are happening outside of the workplace, and until you start having those discussions, you just don't know, and it could actually be quite an easy fix, giving them that support that they need. Help agree practical and time limited support where appropriate. It's help managing their workload and their responsibilities if that's really impacting them. Make sure people know exactly what their role is and what's expected of them. That may seem obvious, but we know for a lot of people sometimes they don't necessarily know what they're supposed to be doing. And that's not just having a job description, it's just been really clear, feedback, one-to-ones, regular catch-ups, probations, so people know what's expected of them, and they know how to perform. And it's also supporting employees through change. Businesses are going through change all the time. The world's changing all the time. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world with everything that's going on. So trying to provide support to people, even if you don't make promises you can't keep, but trying to ensure people are informed where possible and where it's appropriate. So as I said, you're not expected to be counsellors, but ideally you should be the first point of call for someone to go to if they're having any issues. So stress can sometimes come from how roles are structured as well. And common examples can include, role overload. So they've just got too much work on, there's not enough resource to help them. Role ambiguity, like I said, unclear expectations or changing responsibilities. They're not really sure what they're supposed to be doing. There's role conflict, so competing demands from different priorities. Lots of different teams asking the same person the same thing, or customers, and it's getting too much. But on the opposite side, there's also role boredom. If someone has a very repetitive and understimulating role, boredom can cause stress as well. It's very much, you can't have too much work, but not enough isn't great either. And as I say, these can kind of occur together or individually, and they all contribute to stress in the workplace. So the role of employees. So I don't think it should just be about managers. An employee also plays an important role in managing their own well-being. If someone feels that the pressure or stress is affecting their health or work, you should be encouraging them to speak to their line manager early. And the line manager needs to be approachable. People shouldn't be in a position where they don't feel they can talk to their line managers. The responsibility as a line manager is to be approachable and be supportive. Conversations need to be handled sensitively and constructively, and the support you provide could include reviewing workload, adjusting responsibilities, signposting further support if your business has an EAP program, and you can signpost them to support there. Obviously, if it comes to it, you may need to kind of go through formal processes, either grievance or disciplinaries if there's issues, but ideally it's managing it softly in the first instance. So working relationships and culture. Having employees with positive working relationships can also help protect against stress. We'd encourage your teams to benefit from open communication. Easier said than done, I know. Mutual support, respectful behaviour, reminding people of code of conduct and just how you behave with people and how you treat other people. Bullying and harassment can significantly increase stress, and that isn't acceptable. Concerns should always be raised, they can be addressed appropriately. As an example, say a team member's workload is gradually increasing, they're not talking to anyone about it, they're not raising any concerns, but over time their performance is dropping and they're beginning to take time off. You need to ask them, or ask yourself, what could have made a difference earlier? Where should have intervention have started? And that person would probably say, after early conversations and small adjustments could have prevented things escalating. So it's that importance of getting there in early and addressing any issues. If you don't already in the organisation, I'd recommend that you look at having your own mental health first aiders. They're not legally mandated, unlike standard first aiders. However, they should be widely used because they can help employees meet your legal duty, and there's that support. And particularly, it's another individual that an employee can go to talk to. They can be trained to spot signs of stress, anxiety, or depression, and help prevent escalation, and that impacts your long-term sickness absence, workplace breakdowns, and also crisis situations, which you want to avoid. So as I say, if you haven't done any mental health first aider training or mental health training, I would recommend it, and having at least one individual who is marked as a mental health first aider to support people within the workplace. So some key takeaways. As I said, stress is not a weakness. We all we all it impacts all of us all the time. And as I said, it's when it gets too much and then that becomes a problem. Early recognition that someone is stressed and struggling in the workplace is key. Everyone in the company has a role to play, where it be the employee themselves, their colleagues, line managers. And most importantly, support should be proactive, not reactive. Ideally, you should be noticing things before they start to go wrong, before the sickness evidence, before they're failing in their job effectively, because small actions early on can make a bigger difference, and it can also save you probably a lot of time, probably a lot of money in regards to sickness absence, lost work. So it's a benefit in the long term to catch it early if you can. So support going forward. So to finish today, it's worth remembering that managing workplace stress isn't just about awareness. It's also about having the right tools in place, like I said, mental health first aiders, mental health training, policies, processes. If you have EAP support or benefits, programs that can provide mental health support. Here at THSP, we support organisations with developing and reviewing workplace policies. We support customers with regards to stress and wellbeing policies, and to make sure that they're clear and they're practical and they're easy to apply in real situations. They're not overcomplicated. We also provide mental health and stress e-learning and training, if that's ever of interest, and it's designed to help managers and teams build confidence in understanding and responding to stress in the workplace. Essentially, the aim is always the same. For us, it's to make policies and training, that don't just exist on paper, but it's actually supporting you and your employees day to day. I've just put up a few links that you may find helpful. There's some details about Stress Awareness Month. The charity Mind are particularly good. They provide something called a workplace action plan. And it's something that an employee can either use on their own or share with you. They don't have to, and it just helps them to highlight to themselves any areas of stress. We also support customers with risk assessments as well, particularly for people returning to work and just generally day-to-day support. So to finish off, as I said, thank you for your time today. Hopefully you're leaving with a clearer understanding of workplace stress and some practical ideas. Obviously, please get in contact with us if you've got any, you need any support from us, any guidance links, and we can help you with that. Does anybody have any questions or queries? So the webinar has been recorded and we will make it available on a YouTube link that will go out, and also if you keep on top of our LinkedIn feed and we keep everything updated. If you're signed up to our marketing updates, we'll be updating throughout that as well. But as I say, any questions or queries, please contact us. I think we have got a question. We look in the chat. Yeah, so I will speak to marketing about how we publish the slides as well, and make sure that's accessed for everyone. And we'll, like I say, we'll get that released and made public as well. But thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Sasha, personality differences. I think it's communication. Sorry, Sasha's asked about how do you deal with personality differences. It's a tough one. Particularly, you have maybe someone who's quite outgoing paired with someone who's quite quiet. And I think it's just finding what works for them. It's giving them the tools to, help them communicate. Like I say, the workplace action plans provided by Mind are really good, and it helps each individual kind of bit of self-respect, inspection of kind of what is impacted them. And it's communication. If it's having real issues, you look at mediation, bringing people together to talk, really. And it sounds very, very kind of simple, but often the way it is, people just can't communicate very well, and then it becomes an issue. So I think it's just finding out what works best for each individual, and solutions. But again, we're here to help in any way. As I said, I'll speak to our marketing team and we'll make sure the slides get shared, and the link for this is shared as well. But as I said, please don't hesitate to contact us if you've got any questions or queries. And thank you everyone for your time today. Hope it's been helpful. Thank you.